Mornings are for coffee and contemplation. Here's your look at the new Jada toys. This is the Stranger Things Hollywood Rides Hopper's Chevy Blazer with police badge. Hopper's Chevy Blazer marks now the second Stranger Things vehicle to be part of the Jada Toys Hollywood Rides line. The first one that we've already had a look at was Billy's Chevy Camaro Z28. The first thing we're going to do is the first thing we always do here on this channel. We're going to measure off how big this vehicle is. Say you want to add this to your collection and you're not quite certain how big of a space you need. It's more or less a service I'm willing to provide you guys. Free of charge, it's the least I can do. So we're actually going to go from bumper to bumper on the Blazer. And we're going to stop it right there. From this end to this end, you're looking at the vehicle being 7.2 inches in length. And how does that translate to centimeters? Yells somebody from the crowd. I can hear you, by the way. 18.4 centimeters in length. And say this, for the sake of argument, you guys also want to know how big this is height-wise. Well, again, I'm more than happy to oblige. The Blazer, from the bottom to the very top of its sirens, those cherries include in part of its height. And we're going to stop it right there. From the bottom to the top, you're looking at the vehicle being 3.6 inches in height. And that's, my friends, let's switch that over to centimeters, 9.3 centimeters tall. To come included with the Blazer is actually a really neat little side accessory, and that is the Hawkins Police Chief badge, all done in metal, as die-cast as the vehicle itself. One little notable trait on the back here, and hopefully the light is not reflecting too much off of it, is that it actually says Netflix right on the back of it. Like I said, it's made of a heavy metal, and it comes also included with a little display stand. Billy's Camaro actually also included a side accessory. Don't worry, we'll do some comparisons right now. We'll put the badge, we'll move the Blazer over, and we'll put actually just the badge over here. Let's bring in the other car that we had a look at previously, and it's also from Stranger Things. This was Billy's Chevy Camaro. There we go. And this was the Z28. Now, size-wise, they do fit in well with one another. They're scaled appropriately, and they would fit the same sized individual. It's always frustrating whenever you get die-cast cars where you know the scale is off from one another. Jada Toys does a pretty good bang-up job of actually simulating the correct sizing for how these vehicles would actually be in the show, and that you would imagine the same sized individual that would fit into the Blazer would also fit into the Camaro as well. One of the also, like I said, this one did come with the badge. The one that came included with Billy's car was actually still metal, but it was a lifeguard little coin here. On the one side it said Hawkins Pool, and then on the other side we had a picture of Billy. Kind of strange, really, when you look at it, that it would just be a picture of Billy. So when it comes time to display these, most definitely I'll be displaying these. I'm actually going to display it with the lifeguard coin side facing out. And just in case you guys were wondering, there's the size difference between the coin and the badge, so you guys can see. I'm just going to move those to the side. And again, we'll just do some quick size comparisons so that you guys can see how big the cars are to one another. They are most definitely scaled to one another. I'm trying to think of what other cars from Stranger Things would I actually like to see. Perhaps maybe the station wagon from season 3 could have also made an entry into that as well. But I mean, these are kind of like the more iconic vehicles, really, when you think about it. When you watch the show, you see so frequently Hopper driving around in his Blazer. And then, of course, this plays a good pivotal role in season 3, and that would be Billy's Chevy Camaro Z28. Seeing as we've already had a look at Billy's ride, we don't need to spend any more time looking at that. Feel free, if you'd like, to check out a full review of that, if you wish. Some pretty cool, again, die-cast pieces coming out from Jada Toys. Really, I've been kind of getting on board this Hollywood Rides. I grew up not really being the kid that would imagine himself collecting cars. My father and several of my friends' fathers, you would go into their living space, their family room, and you'd often see die-cast cars sitting up on the mantle. And I never really got the appeal, in all honesty. I wouldn't see myself collecting like die-cast cars unless they were linked to film and television, which is probably all the more reasoning why I'm getting so much into these Hollywood rides. So here we have, of course, Hopper's ride of choice. The Blazer itself is as iconic, I would imagine, as Hopper himself. And like all the other Hollywood rides, there are things that actually open and close on this vehicle. For starters, I'm just going to hold the top, show you what the undercarriage looks like. It's all done in plastic. The tires also feel like they are plastic. The vehicle rolls exceptionally well. When you do get it out of packaging, though, there is some tape that you want to remove. Not necessarily on the doors, nor on the hood, but actually on the back section here, the cargo bay, I guess if you want to consider it that. There is some tape that runs down the sides, and I think there's also some tape right here as well. I've gone ahead and already removed that. As soon as you do remove it, though, you're actually able to take the whole back section off. From what I remember, there's no scene in the show where the car is, the Jeep, if you will, is without the back carriage canopy section. This is always something that is in the actual show. But you can take it off, and it's a nice little extra thing, an extra little bonus that Jada Toys incorporates into this release. On the back there, you can see the seating arrangements and some storage section located on the back there as well. And the neat thing about the back door is that it doesn't open. No, that's not the neat part about it. But to open it, you actually lift it up and then you drop it open, which I think is actually how real, not owning a car like this myself, but I think it works the exact same way. And then to close it up, you're just going to swing it, kind of pull it up, drape it up, close it up like that, and then just drop it back down. So that's pretty cool. I like how they've done that. Go ahead and put the canopy back on over top of it, just like so. This, by the way, is done in plastic. The front section, however, does feel like it's metal. So you got metal and plastic. But you know, they've done a pretty good job where they've matched the colors. You wouldn't know looking at it that it would detach, nor that they're made of different materials. So nicely done there. On the side, you've got Hawkins Police Department. You also, of course, got the Blazer logo there and Chief located along the top. A set of 4 headlights, and on the back there, a pair of taillights. The interesting thing, though, is that this is now another instance in which they've put not the real license plate. And I'm wondering if some of that chalks up to licensing. Maybe they can't use the actual license plate that appeared in the show. So instead what they use is Stranger Things, which is fine because, like, looking at it, you may not know, say, years from now what this car is from. So the fact that they do put Stranger Things there on the front and on the back, in the back bumper, will also help aid in that. Some of the other things, the features available on this, is that the doors do open up on both the passenger side and the driver's side. One thing I do want to mention, though, is the side windows are made of softer plastic. So you want to be careful that you don't accidentally clip and bang those. Those could potentially break. And again, you've got Hawkins Police Department there on the side. Let's get a good gander at the interior there. Got the rear view window. Rear view mirror, I should say. You've got the steering wheel done in chrome. Got the brake and gas pedal. It also looks like he's got a cup holder. Hopper's got a cup holder, some compartment sections there also as well. And like I said, the whole back section there, you can take this off also as well. I had mentioned this in one of the previous instances in which we looked at the Hollywood rides. One thing I would love to see them actually do for future release, we'll just put the car down here for a second. Love to see them actually come up with like a base, just a black rectangular base, maybe even with like groove holes, but I understand like the wheel spacing would be different on each car, but just something that like a little indentation where the car could sit on it, and then like a little front placard that would tell you the name of the show or the name of the movie, followed by the vehicle itself. Possibly is something that they could introduce. Even if they just were able to incorporate placards, I think that would also be a big help as well. One thing I really like about displaying cars is I like to be able to identify, like looking at them, I think having little placards in the front of each vehicle would certainly go a long way for showcasing these. A big fan of Stranger Things myself. Having wrapped up all of season 3, several, well, it would have been, I binge watched most of it, mostly been binge watched. I kind of tried to pace it out as best as I could, but it was really hard because the show this season was so good. I pretty much like watched an episode every other day, or every day I watched a standalone episode. Season 3 by far was one of my favorite seasons of the show, and again, a good vehicle that plays a big role, at least in some of the season, was Hopper's Chevy Blazer. One vehicle you never really would have imagined ever finding its way to being a die-cast car. But once again, the folks over at Jada Toys come through with their Hollywood rides, and we get yet again another vehicle from Stranger Things. I really liked Billy's Chevy Camaro Z28, and I most definitely like Hopper's Chevy Blazer here. Certain by this point I'm sounding like a broken record, but I'm going to say this again. I really think Jada Toys have landed on something quite special here with their Hollywood rides. As I said in this review, growing up, I wasn't somebody that could ever imagine myself as an adult collecting die-cast cars. I kind of thought that as being something an older person would be collecting. And I guess look at me now, I am an older person, and I find myself collecting die-cast cars, but they're not quite the same type of die-cast cars that maybe your grandparents or your parents would have collected when you were younger. These ones are connected, at least, to film and television that you might have very well grown up. Stranger Things is certainly not an old show, but it's somewhat ironic the fact that we were watching a show that takes place in the 80s that just recently came out on Netflix. Stranger Things, of course, is a popular, successful hit on Netflix's part, and they're already making themselves season 4, which I've heard rumblings is the last of the Stranger Things series, which will be sad when that show finally wraps up. It was really my favorite thing to watch on TV. Quote unquote TV, because it's not really on TV, it's on Netflix. You know what I mean. These are really great die-cast representations of the cars that were represented in Stranger Things. As I'm aware of, there's only 2 that they've made so far. Billy's Chevy Camaro that we've already had a look at, and of course Hopper's Chevy Blazer. Both are looking as good as they do in the show. Of course, marginally better because, of course, there's not mud and debris on them like normal vehicles would get while they're driving in the terrain. But still, these are about the closest thing you're going to get to actually having Hopper's Chevy Blazer in your collection. You can also benefit from the fact that they are a lot smaller. You really couldn't put the Chevy Blazer actually on your mantle. I don't think the fireplace would be able to hold that. If you did manage to pick up this one for yourself, let me know down below in the comments section what you think of the Hollywood Rides Hopper's Chevy Blazer from the popular series Stranger Things. Can't wait for season 4 to come out. Also, if you wanted to go back and have a look at some of my other Jada Toys reviews, there's a playlist just for Jada Toys, so feel free to check those videos out and watch at your viewing pleasure. We're going to have a look at some other Hollywood rides because I'm really getting on board this line. So if you are into Stranger Things, not necessarily maybe Stranger Things, but if you're into more Hollywood rides, stay tuned to this channel. There's going to be a whole lot more coming your way. Make sure, though, coming your way that the videos are, that you're still staying on board and being notified when all new videos are coming onto this channel. A shameful plug for the fact that if you are new to this channel or a long-time viewer, and maybe you want to make sure that you're not missing out on any content that's coming onto this channel, the key, though, is hitting that subscribe button, swing on over to the upside down, and turn on that bell notification so that when future videos are coming onto this channel, you'll never miss out. As always, guys, thanks for watching, as you always do. And I'll see you guys next time.